The moment they laughed at me, I promised myself one thing. They'd regret every single insult they threw my way. But I didn't need fists or anger. I had something stronger: patience and law. My name's Ethan Clark, and this is the story of how my cheating wife's family mocked me when I had nothing, but ended up watching me rise higher than they ever dreamed, legally, quietly, and completely. Back then, I was just a small-town lawyer, fresh out of law school, trying to build a name for myself. My wife, Lena, came from money. Her father, Robert, owned a big construction company, and her mother treated me like a charity case. But I loved Lena, or at least the person I thought she was. In the beginning, she supported me. She'd bring coffee late at night while I studied for the bar exam, saying, "One day you'll make it big." But once we got married and moved into her parents' guest house, things changed. Suddenly, I was the struggling lawyer son-in-law. Her father would joke at family dinners, "Maybe one day Ethan will win a real case, not just parking tickets." Her mother would add, "Lena, you should have married someone with ambition, not a dream." And Lena? She laughed with them, every single time. It hurt, but I kept working. I got a small job at a local firm handling contracts and property disputes. I told myself, one day they'll see. But life has a funny way of showing you who people really are. One evening I came home early from work. The lights were dim, soft music was playing, romantic, but the car outside wasn't mine. When I walked into the living room, there she was, Lena, in the arms of her father's business partner, Greg, a man twice her age. They froze. She stammered, "Ethan, it's not what you think." I said calmly, "Then explain why his tie is on our couch." Greg rushed out the door. Lena followed him, screaming, "You'll never understand what real success looks like." That night, I packed my things and left. But instead of anger, something inside me sparked. Not revenge, but clarity. A month later, divorce papers arrived. Her family's lawyer, someone I once interned for, delivered them personally. They expected me to crumble, but I didn't. I read every single word carefully and noticed something. A loophole. A big one. They wanted to keep the house, her car, and most of our joint assets, but they had filed under a community property law that could actually work against them. If I played it right, I could claim rights to a significant portion of her family's company shares, since Lena had used marital funds to invest in it. I spent nights drafting, cross-referencing, and preparing. When I finally filed my response in court, their attorney laughed, until the judge looked at my documents. 3 months later, the verdict was in. I legally owned 25% of her father's company. Robert nearly fainted. Lena screamed at me in the courthouse hallway, "You can't do this!" I smiled. I didn't do anything. The law did. They tried everything. Appeals, threats, even fake sympathy. But the law was on my side. Over the next year, their company began struggling. Robert's poor management and Greg's shady deals led to massive debt. Eventually, I bought out more shares, legally, and at a fraction of their original value. By the end of 2 years, I was the majority owner. And here's the poetic part. I didn't fire them. I let them work under me. Robert as consultant, Lena as public relations, and her mother, well, she never showed her face again. People called it revenge. I called it justice with a law degree. Eventually, I expanded the business, merged it with my growing legal firm, and turned it into a corporate powerhouse. I became known as Ethan Clark, CEO of Clark Legal Group, one of the most respected law firms in the state. A year later, I was invited to a charity gala. Guess who I saw there? Lena. She looked tired, her spark gone. She approached me and whispered, "Ethan, I made a mistake." I nodded slowly. "No, Lena, you made a choice." She tried to smile, but tears formed. "You really did it. You became everything they said you couldn't." I looked her straight in the eyes. "No, I became everything you didn't believe I could." And I walked away. Now, every time I walk into my office and see my name engraved on the glass wall, Ethan Clark, CEO and attorney at law, I remember the laughter, the insults, the betrayal. They thought they broke me, but they just built my fire. If you like the video, please subscribe and turn on notifications.